Do you mind if I insult you real quick? You are unstable. You are an unstable person. You might think, how could you say that? Well, rewind the video so you can hear me say it again. You are an unstable person, but guess what? So am I some of the time. We are all unstable to some degree, and we would not use that terminology to describe ourselves because that means a crazy person, right? An unstable person is bordered on insanity. But think for a moment what stability means. I sit here in this house and it has a foundation. I've never really felt this house move before. It is solid, it is stable. Now, if there was an earthquake, which is not common in my area of the country, obviously things would move. But for the most part, you and I are used to stable foundations. We're used to things that are unshakable, things that are unmovable. But when you think about your own emotions, when you think about your own thought life, what transpires in your head, when you think about the images that flash in your mind all day, you think about things that are unstable. You're moving. You're being blown around by the wind. Everything affects you emotionally and mentally. And then that carries over into other areas of your life. You could actually make yourself sick. I never knew what that meant when people would say that years ago. You making yourself sick. Well, once you see that how many hormones you have in your body and how stress and all the chemicals that you release in your body, such as adrenaline and cortisol on an ongoing basis, man, that instability can literally make you sick. But it's also robbing you. It's robbing you of the only life that you've got. It's stealing more and more of your time, stealing more and more of the moments of, as I said, the only life that you've got. Instability does that. Well, how can we be unstable? Well, if you're worried all the time, if you're anxious all the time, if you're stressed all the time, if you're angry all the time, if you're frustrated all the time, if you're confused all the time, if you're constantly preconcerned with what everybody else is doing or what they think about you or what they say about you, if you're constantly uncertain about the future, if what you see and imbibe every day online is got you wrecked, emotionally angry, whatever it may be, that's instability. You're being moved, you're being shaken. And you can't approach an uncertain future with that much instability. We've got to get you nailed down. We've got to get a foundation underneath you so that you become more stable. Why in the world would any of us be so unstable? Why are we so moved so easily, emotionally and mentally? Why have we always been this way? Well, it's because of what we focus our attention upon. Whatever is running through your mind consistently, the thoughts, the images, even the deeper thoughts that we have, our interpretations of what happens to us, our interpretations of ourselves, our interpretations of the world, meaning the meaning we apply to what happens to us, all of these things collectively are unstable. So if you spend a lot of time, for example, on social media, then you are consuming a lot of information that represents instability. So when you're listening to people online, when you're focused on news headlines, when your head is too buried in politics and social causes and all of these things, I know you deem them important, and I'm not saying that they are not important. I'm not saying that I don't pay attention myself. But if you have no filter and these things are flooding into your mind constantly, don't you think that's going to create instability? See, everything that you focus on primarily is unstable. They are not fixed. They are not permanent. They are not absolute. Therefore, life feels like it's going off the rails. Things feel like they're going off track. The world seems crazy. Life seems crazy. Life seems unstable. And so the end result, you get affected emotionally, you get affected mentally, and then that robs you of the life that you've got. You don't have all of the creative energy anymore to pour into your goals and your dreams or the problems that you want to overcome, the things that you're facing in life. You don't have the mental energy. You don't have the creativity. Why? Because it's all being sucked. It's all being absorbed like a sponge by the unstable things that you give yourself attention to. So yeah, we're unstable because we focus on unstable things. Where you say, well, CJ, what's stable? I mean, can't you see what's happening in the world? Can't you see all the pain and the suffering? Can't you see all the crazy things that are happening? I absolutely see those things, but they're not going to find a home inside of me. There are other things that you can focus on that are stable. You ever thought about that? Do you realize how stable everything really is? Again, this house is not moving. It hasn't moved for as long as I've lived here. And you know what else? I'm not going to wake up tomorrow worried that the sun will not be in the sky. I am not going to wake up tomorrow and be concerned that somehow airplanes will start to fly and drop out of the sky because all of a sudden, all the laws of flight will stop working. I'm not going to wake up and worry that my house is going to blow up because all of a sudden on a Tuesday, the laws of electricity will no longer work. I'm not going to wake up one day and believe that 2 plus 2 will now equal 5 or that I'll ever touch a flame that's cold. You see, you're filled and you're surrounded with absolutes, with unchanging, very, very stable things. But you focus on the unstable. So if your head's all soaked in social media, absolutely, it's going to create emotional instability. And so you're worried, you're fretful, you're angry, you're pissed off, you're yelling at whatever because you are unstable. You're not focused on the stable things. There are principles and truths out there that bring stability. And you can focus on those. And the world is not filled just with bad news. Within a 50-mile radius of where you sit right now, there are kids bringing home great report cards. There are marriage proposals happening. There are people deciding not to get that divorce. There are people who are getting a good report from the doctor. There are people smiling and laughing and enjoying their children and their pets, having a great time in life. But that kind of news that you're surrounded with in your community doesn't sell news headlines, won't sell the newspaper, right? Because bad news is what sells. So if you focus on the instability, right, of what you consume on social media or in your life, and you give so much time and attention to negativity, which is being fed to you so advertising can be fed to you, if that's what you think, then absolutely, you're depressed, you're anxious, you're stressed out, you're worried about the future. Instead of thinking, no, man, the world is solid because for the most part, most people are solid. Most people are stable. They go to work. What I mean by stable in that sense, I mean they go to work, they pay their bills, they do what they need to do, they help their neighbor out. That's why the world remains as it is. You know, I've lived in this house for almost 25 years, and I don't think I ever could have left the door unlocked. I don't think anybody ever tried to break into my house. Now, I keep my doors locked, but the point is that for the most part, things are safe. For the most part, things are pretty cool. So you don't need to be worried that somehow the world is going to be thrown off the rails because of this political thing or that culture or that social thing or this war over there on the other side of the world. Whatever it is you are fretful about, whatever it is you are concerned about, it is producing instability, which means you have to guard your mind, your heart, what you see, what you consume, what you think about. And the more you focus on the good news, the more you focus on the stable things. And again, the most important thing being that you are well able, you are very equipped, you are stronger than you realize. And so you're going to grow in such a way that you're going to start overcoming things in life. And the reason why you're going to be positive about the future is because you're positive about you. Can you dig that? I hope you can. This is CJ the Metal Motivator. And remember, in whatever you do, don't suck. Metal up.